Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So, what is going on? What is going on? Doesn't it feel like every time the market seems like it's about to turn around? Bitcoin was hitting 90, 91, and you just felt like 95 and six figures, 100,000 was right around the corner. Something always happens to bring us back down. I've been seeing this happen over and over and over again. Even with the alts, I'm a big Solana guy, and I would see Solana hit 160, 180, 200, then back down again. No matter what asset, whatever altcoin you're in, it always seems to happen in the crypto space. Then you hear it's, manipulation, it's something. I don't know what it is. But let's go over. We have some big news, some big headlines today, more FUD, but also some positive things as well. So if you know me, you know that I'm still in the market, but you just got to be aware of all the FUD and kind of analyze, your risk. And right now, I think we're in a situation where, we just have to look at all these macro conditions and, invest accordingly. So here we go, right? So one of the big headlines I heard today was Japan, right? And apparently yen is crashing, and the biggest thing is that the carry trade between Japan and some U.S. investors is what's impacting markets. Not only U.S. but other currencies as well. So you may ask yourself, what is a carry trade? And basically, Japan, they've been going opposite about what most of the central banks and around the world have been doing. While others have been hiking to try to control inflation, they've been keeping theirs nearly at zero, right? Pretty much at zero. And because of that, investors would basically trade in yen dollars because you're borrowing basically cheap, and then you would transfer that into USD or whatever your fiat is. And that's been going on for a while. However, they have reversed course, and now their version of central bank is saying, no, it's time to raise. Where others, we're all cutting, right? U.S. December 10th, we're going to cut, or allegedly we're supposed to cut over 90% at this point, that we will get a 0.25 cut. But all the other countries are cutting, the central banks. And they have one coming up in December, a meeting, and basically they're going to raise again. And investors probably got spooked by this. Now, if you're in a carry trade with Japan, you saw this coming. So I don't know that this was the main reason as to why the crypto, specifically Bitcoin, went under 90,000 and started going down even lower than that. But this was one of the narratives that was flown out there that possibly this has something to do with it. Now, this happened previously, right? I want to say 2024, but we rebounded from that, obviously. Bitcoin hit an all-time high after it happened the first time. So this is a short-term thing, but it's macro, and this is what you're seeing on CNBC and all of the financial websites and channels. Now, another reason, which I think is more likely, is that there's possibly a coordinated dump. I don't know if it's coordinated. I don't know if it's coordinated with the market makers, and because the market makers liquidated folks, price came down, then retail said, F it, we're going out of it too, and that kind of snowballed into what we see here, where you see Wintermute, which is one of the biggest, one of the market makers that I think has been screwing over this whole cycle for this year. Them in conjunction with the other big company that I don't want to name, but one of the guys was just basically exonerated here in the U.S. jail. But I think between that, Coinbase, BitMEX, you see all of them, they all dumped their BTC, and this happened right December 1st. So I think this had a big impact. Definitely had a big impact. If you see price at 90 and you're thinking it's going to hit six figures at some point, and then you just see it going down, and you're like, oh shoot, I probably need to sell before it goes under 80,000. And I think this is probably what we saw a little bit of this. So, here in the U.S., we are striving for regulation, and I hope that comes sooner than later because we can get rid of a lot of this stuff. I think the crypto space definitely needs some regulating because it's scaring retail. I know a lot of family members, a lot of friends that hear Bitcoin and they hear the highs and the lows, right? They hear that, oh, wow, you guys hit 120. That's crazy. Is it too late to get into Bitcoin? And then, not even 2-3 months later, we're at 80,000. Then it may go back up to 90, then 120. A lot of people with their hard-earned money, they don't want to deal with that volatility at all. And I think until we get some regulations, it's probably going to be like that for a while. But this is what I think here probably contributed mostly to this dump that we saw. Then also, MicroStrategy, there's still FUD going on there. And I tried to think about why Sailor and MicroStrategy, his stock, is hated so much. And normally when there's a disruptor, something that changes the norm, people don't like that at first, right? They try to fight it. And I think who has the most to lose over MicroStrategy and them being successful? You got to think the banks, right? There's probably about 5 major banks that's in cahoots that runs everything here in the U.S., right? And you have this famous millionaire, billionaire probably, who has this investment vehicle that is holding on to this future pristine asset. And now he has other instruments from MicroStrategy. I believe you have Strike and some others where you can actually earn 10% and even a little bit more than 10% on your money. Banks aren't offering that. You might have a money market account. I don't know what they're offering now, 3%, 5%. If that catches on, that's the detriment of a lot of these banks. JP Morgan hit piece on them. I think Peter Schiff now is joining the fray. Wall Street is not in love with MicroStrategy right now. And for me, I probably want to get in now, at least a little bit more. I mean, if MicroStrategy hits a price of 150 and lower, I'm going to have to get into MicroStrategy because, again, they own Bitcoin. I truly believe in Bitcoin. I think it's the pristine asset for the future. What I don't like is the dilution of the stock, how he sells a lot of the stock to buy more Bitcoin. I get it, but that's going to impact the price. It can never reach its true potential if he keeps diluting it by selling it, but I get it. But if it's at 150, I'm not scared. News like this does not scare me. But Kyle Dupes, he's on Twitter. Give him a follow. He has some good stuff. Basically, he's saying that how the stock price of MicroStrategy, MSTR, is down 11%. And he's saying that, MicroStrategy did announce that they built a 1.44 billion cash reserve by selling Class A shares, giving them 21 months of runaway for dividends plus debt, even in the volatility crunch. So if the price goes down, they still have a cushion for that. And yes, they kept buying Bitcoin. From November 17th through the end of the month, they added 130 Bitcoins for approximately 11.7 million at an average price of 89,000. Total stash that they currently have is 650,000 Bitcoin. That's a lot. Their average cost, so DCAing price, is 74,436. So according to Kyle Dupes, the twist is their playbook is if it's above 1 times the MNAV premium, they issue more shares. However, if it falls below that, they have to sell Bitcoin or BTC derivatives. So he's saying that if Bitcoin drops below their costs, and their cost here is 74,436, the strategy finally become forced to sell their Bitcoin. So that remains to be seen. But you have FUD like this going out there. But retail is out the game, y'all. I mean, if you look at this is per sentiment. You look at the only thing that's kind of green here is institutional institutional ETH accumulation. So they're looking at that. This is retail searches. RWA, people are still looking into that. But look at this. Memes. Memes is what really brought retail into the last bull cycle. Look at the trend. Just going down. All the big memes, Doge, Pinju, Shiba, I hardly hear anything about it right now. Tariffs is red. ETFs in general, red. Alt season, just look at that chart. It's all just going down. Retail they're not into it right now. So we need a catalyst to bring retail back in so we can get that true alt season if it ever comes. Also, this is Bitcoin Magazine. The Bitcoin supply on exchanges has fallen to a new low. So if you read the narratives, you see Bitcoin price falling. Oh, it's going to crash to 15,000. MicroStrategy is going to be forced to sell, everything like that. And yeah, it's a risk. It's a chance. But if you look behind the scenes, you see what's happening. The supply on exchanges are falling to a new low. So who's buying it? People are still accumulating. They know what this is. They know that the fiat they hold is disintegrating. The buying power is just going lower and lower and lower. They know what this is. And Look at this. 11 trillion asset manager Vanguard, who with all these other companies, ETFs, Fidelity's, BlackRock were buying Bitcoin and starting their ETFs. The CEO at that time was like, hell no, not happening here. Not on my watch. Total 180. Look at them now. Starting tomorrow, they're going to start offering crypto to their clients. Interesting, right? But yeah, if you read the narrative, Bitcoin is going down, crypto's going down, all these things. News like this, it doesn't happen by chance. Could this price dump that we're seeing possibly getting big time money, big heads like this to try to get in at a lower price? They don't want to buy and accumulate Bitcoin at 125. It's a lot better to get it at 80, 85. Interesting. Very interesting. Also, this video by on Vivek's page, basically, the world's richest man, Elon Musk, said Bitcoin might be the only currency and money in the future. Bitcoin is based on energy. Let's take a listen real quick. Hopefully this works.
There's still some fundamental currencies, if you will, that are physics-based. So energy is the true currency. This is why I said Bitcoin is based on energy. You can't legislate energy. You can't just pass a law and suddenly have a lot of energy. It's very difficult to generate energy, or especially to harness energy in a useful way to do useful work. So I think that probably we won't have money, and probably we'll just have energy, power generation as the de facto currency.
Sounds a little crazy, right? But hey, I don't know. The way this world is going, the way you see the money and the debt that we currently have, it's not far-fetched to say in the future, AI is running pretty much everything, and the dollar as we know it, paper currency, is a thing of the past. Already you can see it most of the time when we transact. No one's holding money or cash in their hands. It's all through a card, Apple Pay, whatever the case may be. The generations under me and under that generation, they trust me, they're not using dollars. And energy could be a true source of income in the future. But let's take a look at the ETFs, the ETF flows for the month of December. Today, we have Fidelity, inflow of 67 million. You have ARK with inflow of 7.4 million, and then all the other ones, nothing. So the flows have been kind of light for this, the beginning of the month here. But we'll continue to monitor that. Let's take a look at Solana, my favorite alt. We see that it currently has a positive. So 17.2, and then there was an outflow, it looks like, from T-Sol of 32 million, and then 1.8 million inflow. So overall net for the month of December, outflow 13.5 million. Now let's take a look at the ETH flow. As far as ETFs go, we have ETH had an outflow of 105.7 million. So when I talk about debt, let's take a look at this number here, right here in the upper left, 38 trillion. I've been monitoring this for a while, and when I was looking at this, I believe not even a year ago, this was at like 35 trillion. So in less than a year, we have increased up to $3 trillion in national debt. How are we going to pay for that? It's crazy to think. I bring up that debt because people are turning into hard assets right now. They're realizing what's going on with all the debt all around the world, and their buying power and just inflation is killing everything. And because of that, hard assets like gold, they're having their day right now. I know Peter Schiff is loving this, but I mean, if you just look at this 1 year chart, just look at the price of gold, right? I mean, we were under 3K, and look at this thing now. Now it's at $4,200. Gold, $4,200. Normally that's a precursor when something's about to go wrong, extremely wrong. People get prepared, and this is reflective here of this price. Also, Charlie Bieo, give him a follow on Twitter as well. He said gold is up 60% and is the best performing major asset in 2025. Not Bitcoin, gold. While Bitcoin is -3, now is the worst. Something we haven't seen before in any calendar year. Gold versus Bitcoin. Peter Schiff is having his day right now. And gold's not the only one. Look at this. Another hard asset, silver. You know, if we look at the year chart for silver, you see that right here. It was under about $30. And now it's at 57.60. You know, something's going on. And we don't want to be on the sidelines left with our hands under our asses. We gotta figure this out. And me, I'm always watching. I'm always watching to see what the rich folks are doing, what the smarter folks are doing. And, you know, I hear what they're saying, but I'm looking at what they're doing. So they can say whatever they want on the financial channels, on the websites. But when I look at these numbers and I look at all the news around me, they're preparing for something bad. So it's up to you and I to be, you know, thoughtful, resourceful, just look and see what's going on and be on that with them, right? We don't want them to be on the bus riding out and we're just stuck. We want to say, hey, I have some too. And right now, I think the play is definitely Bitcoin at these prices. I'm all in. I'm still DCing in the Bitcoin. I don't see Bitcoin going anywhere. If anything, I think it's a play to suppress the price because they know where it's going. And, you know, they want all the big dogs, the big homies to get in at a good price. And when it gets to where it's going, sell to us retail folks, you know, when it's 500,000 and over. But no, that's not going to be me. I'm still DCing in the Bitcoin. I think it's a true hard asset. It's the future gold, basically. Um, and I think it's a good point. I mean, just remember when Bitcoin was 125, and you were probably thinking to yourself, man, if I wish I could DCA if it was under 100,000. We're here. And I just showed you why Bitcoin is not going anywhere at all. So ignore the noise. Solana's at 127. I can see Solana, you know, doubling easy when the market conditions are correct. So, you know, I'm DCing into Solana as well. But there's some other good projects here. But for me, the main ones that I'm DCing in right now, Bitcoin and Solana. Those are my ones at the moment. Chainlink has a ETF, I believe, scheduled to release this week, Grayscale. So that should be, hopefully it should help the price a little bit. But that is it, my friends. You know, we got a lot of volatility, a lot of FUD out there. Kind of up to us. We got to shift through the FUD and figure out what's right. You know, figure out what we believe is true and stay true to, you know, our assets and convictions, and we'll come out positive on the other end. So that's my video for today. I hope you guys like it. If so, please like the video. And if you want to see more of my content, please subscribe to the channel. Later.